Welcome back, guys, to the Queen of TV channel. Before we get into our intro, let's get some things out of the way first. First of all, please watch the video to the very end. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. 2, there will be cursing and profanity. If that's not your cup of tea, this channel is not for you. 3, I'll be giving my honest opinion about the episode and the show as a whole. And lastly, this will be the last video for today because I have to be at work at 4 o'clock. So, now intro. Welcome everyone, I'm your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince or Princess. You're either a viewer or you are a subscriber. Either way, welcome. We're talking about H2O Season 2, Episode 16, Double Trouble. We start off this episode with Lewis having a nightmare about Cleo getting exposed as a mermaid and him thinking it's all his fault. He's woken up when he's hit by a beach ball. Charlotte apparently asked him what he was talking about when he said it was all his fault, but he said it was nothing but a bad dream. But at the cafe, it's obviously bothering him because he's not listening to Charlotte, even when she's talking about ruining her hair. She asks him what the problem is, and he says it's absolutely nothing and decides to get them a juice. This is where he's approached by Emma's little brother, Elliot, who asks him to give him advice about girls. Lewis doesn't want to get any advice because he doesn't know anything about girls, but Elliot tells him that considering that he dated Cleo and Charlotte, he must be an expert. He's not an expert, because if he was, he would be with Charlotte. So Lewis decides to give him advice now that he's on this little small ego trip after Elliot told him he was a master at it for dating 2 girls. He tells him that a girl likes you, which is bad advice, mind you, if she is ignoring you, because Elliot says that she's always ignoring him. Well, we quickly find out who she is. We go to Cleo's house and we see Emma and Cleo are hanging out, and Kim asks Cleo to also get her something to drink because Cleo and Emma are getting something to drink, and Cleo says no until Kim threatens her to tell her dad about her phone plan bill. I mean, to be fair, Cleo has a job, so she could technically play her own phone plan, but okay. So she gets her something to drink, and this is where Elliot shows up. Apparently, the girl that Elliot was talking about was Kim. He's asking on a date. He even bought her own pack of gum, like a whole box is her favorite. It almost cost him about damn $20. Would have never bought it. And she asked him what is it in for her, basically saying that she would only date him if it benefits her in some way, which is fucked completely up, in my opinion. Him is still trash. Um, he's willing to do anything. Emma thinks it's cute because it's the first time Elliot's going to have a girlfriend. Mind you, he's 12 years old. Cleo tells her that it's actually going to be a disaster. Well, Cleo says that first, and then that's when Emma says what she said. And Emma finds out real quick that Cleo was right when Kim has Elliot do her damn homework. In his handwriting, mind you. I hope she failed. Emma doesn't like the fact that Kim is using Elliot. She can't find the words for it, so Cleo lets her know that Kim is bossy, obnoxious, selfish, and annoying. So, at their house, Emma asks Elliot if he's doing Kim's history homework, which is 1,000 words, while she just sits there and watches TV all day, ain't doing her own homework. And he admits that it is. At first, he tries to lie about it, but he admits it. And she tries to tell him that Kim is just not into him, but he tells her that Lewis says that she totally is. This is where we see the next day Emma confront Lewis, and this is when Lewis found out that the advice he gave Elliot about a girl was actually for Kim. Lewis is disgusted, or at least in disbelief, that Elliot would want to date Kim of all people. And Emma tells him he has to fix it, but Lewis doesn't know how, but Emma says he'll figure it out. We see that Lewis has that nightmare yet again while sleeping on his boat, and at the end of his dream, Cleo screams after being surrounded by a bunch of people videoing her and taking her picture. This is still bothering Lewis, and I'll talk about that in the review. When he goes to Juice Net Cafe, Charlotte notices that something's wrong with him, so she asks him what's wrong, and he says that it's nothing. This is when Elliot shows up and asking where he should take Kim out on a date. Lewis tells him they were the playground, but Elliot's not willing to accept that, so he says the Marine Park because there's rides and things and souvenirs. And when Lewis actually asks Elliot when he did come to him, like why he's asking, he says that Emma told him that Lewis could help him, and obviously that's because Emma wants Lewis to fix the problem that he created unintentionally. So when Elliot goes to Kim's house, he lets Kim know that he wants to take her to the Marine Park. She doesn't want to go at first until she realizes he'll be paying. So then she says yes. Then that's when Dom, their father, gets involved and has a talk to Elliot, and he's a bit mean about it, and Cleo tells him that he was mean because they're just kids. So he tells Cleo that she's right and that's why he wants her to chaperone the date. Cleo is not happy about that at all. At the Juice That Cafe, Elliot goes to speak to Lewis again, who is with Charlotte, and asks him to come with him on this date. Now, Lewis does not want to go, and he's using the idea that he's actually on a date with Charlotte, so he really can't go, but Charlotte decides to let him go. And we'll talk about that in the review. And he reluctantly goes. While at the Juice That Cafe, we do see that Emma notices that Ash and Rikki are acting very secretive together. They're talking and everything, and Emma is immediately jealous and suspicious of them. When she confronts Rikki about it, Rikki asks if it's a problem and why she would care, and Emma pretends like she doesn't, but it's obvious that Emma's behavior is off. Now, at the Marine Park, Elliot tells Kim that Lewis really wanted to come with them, and this is where Kim reveals that she too has a chaperone in Cleo. So Lewis and Cleo are unintentionally on a double date. Not only are they chaperone a date with Elliot and Kim, but they're also technically on a date because they're spending like the whole day together at a Marine Park. We see that Kim has very expensive taste as she keeps buying things over and over again. Ellie's just spending money like it's no tomorrow. But we're going to talk about more of that in the contrast between them and Cleo and Lewis. But Lewis is also getting Cleo things, and Cleo is appreciative of these gifts, and Lewis is doing it without asking. Because he bought her a lollipop and bought him one too, and then he eventually buys her a little dolphin chain that he sees her admire from afar, while Elliot is stressing out about Kim wanting different stuff, especially a big giant teddy bear. We see that Kim is just using Elliot for his money and not really interested in him per se. Once they sit down and take a small rest, Lewis and Cleo have a talk, and it's a heartfelt talk, and they talk about this whole situation with them being here. Lewis does ask Cleo if she's okay with them just hanging out like this, and she says, "Yeah, it's fine. You know, they can do it without it meaning anything." Elliot comes up, and Lewis thinks that Elliot wants more advice, but he says no, he needs money because Kim is bleeding him dry. So he gives him some more money, and they head off again. Cleo doesn't like the fact that how Kim is treating Elliot because Elliot is very sweet. And Kim tells Elliot, no, yes, no. Kim does tell Elliot that she wants to go buy something else. While Cleo is talking to Lewis, she mentions that Kim should treat Elliot like an equal. like how her and Lewis are equals, which makes them both smile. We see Lewis smile more, and we'll definitely be talking about that when he's with Cleo. So back at the Juice Net Cafe, Rikki and Ash again are still acting weird, and she sees this. So she confronts Rikki again, but Rikki gives her the runaround and says she has to go and leaves, making her adamant that the two of them are seeing each other behind her back. Back at the marine park, Elliot wants to go on the volcano ride, but Kim doesn't want to go. She wants another ice cream. And Elliot's kind of bummed out about this. Lewis tells Cleo that she's right, that yeah, they can do this without, making it mean anything, and that they should probably do this more. But Cleo reminds him that they can't do that because of Charlotte. She even asks how Charlotte is, and Lewis tells her she's okay, she's fine, okay as she can be. And she says she's happy for him. This is when Elliot comes back up, and this time he wants advice because he's talking about how it's difficult for him to be on this date with Kim and wonder if this is how difficult it's supposed to be. Lewis tells Elliot the same thing that Cleo just told him a few minutes ago, that when it comes to relationships, you have to treat each other with respect, like equals. And he thinks about that like equals. He keeps telling himself that over and over again, and it puts a smile on Lewis' face because Lewis knows the advice he just gave Elliot is going to help Elliot not only stand up for himself, but he also realizes that he himself is equal to Cleo. Like, that he and Cleo are compatible. While maybe with him and Charlotte, they're not exactly equals. So him is at this ice cream bar getting this ice cream with extra sprinkles and chocolate and all that, while Elliot decides to get on the volcano ride. Kim tries to tell him she doesn't want to get on the ride and she needs him to pay for his ice cream, but he refuses and gets on the ride anyway. She ends up getting wet after he comes down and the water ends up splashing her. He asks her once he gets off the ride if they should go on the ride, and she says maybe later. And he leaves to go get some more tickets. Her upset about the fact that he's not doing what she says anymore, decides to throw her bear in the water and tells him to go get it for her. He's upset because he paid a fortune for it, but he does try to get it, but Cleo stops him. She tells Kim that she doesn't deserve Elliot and she should have taken better care of the bear, and that Elliot has Elliot has done so much for her while she's just sitting here taking advantage of him. Once they walk off and leave, they don't see that Cleo ends up getting wet when a jet ski ends up splashing water over her. And this is where Lewis's nightmare becomes reality. And Lewis jumps in the water to save Cleo, where he holds onto the bear and uses that distraction to help her get away. We go back to Juice Day Cafe where Rikki and Ash show up, and Emma tells them that she already knows what's going on. So they're kind of confused and they think that, okay, well, the surprise is ruined. They reveal to give her a congratulations basket as she's been named Employee of the Month. And she loves gifts and she's excited, and she almost reveals to them what she thought what was going on and had stopped herself just in time. This is when Rikki catches on real quick that she thought that something romantic was going on, despite the fact Rikki has a whole boyfriend. So when Ash asks her what was going on, she says nothing. Speaking of being a juice at that cafe, after the date is over, Lewis and Cleo talk as Cleo thanks him for helping her, and Lewis says is okay because it's best for him to get kicked out than her to be an exhibit. And he does almost tell her about the dream he had when he speaks about her about having dreams. And we see a flash where we see again for the third time that Cleo tells him in his dream that she misses him. But he drops the conversation, and then Charlotte comes up, and we'll talk about that too, because of how she was acting. She asks him about the date, and for a split second, he thinks it's about Cleo and him, but she's talking about Elliot and Kim, and he says it was very uneventful. This is when Kim and Elliot show up, and Kim's talking about going to the movies, but not Nate, coming back from the previous episode, Jesus. Elliot says no. He dumps her, which we see that Lewis and Cleo are happy for him, while Charlotte is confused as to why he would dump her. Because you and her are sisters. You and her are the same. Lewis needs to take some advice from Elliot. He breaks up with her and lets her know that he cannot afford a girlfriend. She's upset, but she leaves and he's at peace. Lewis tries to come up and give him more advice, but Elliot tells Lewis he don't know nothing about women. No offense. And the episode ends with him looking back at Cleo and Charlotte. Now let's get into the review. Okay. Now let's talk about the comparisons. Because we're not going to talk about the whole Emma and Ash and Rikki issue because it really like a big thing, like a small plot point. And obviously you can see why Emma thought that. And it's fine with Emma, getting jealous considering her and Ash do like each other and Rikki's supposed to have a boyfriend. But let's talk about what Cleo was talking about, how Kim is not treating Elliot like an equal. I know this big debate was about the fact that everybody talked about how they were glad that Lewis wasn't a merman because that didn't mean that he wasn't a part of the group. I get that was due to a lot of misdirection of what fans thought that Cleo was talking about in the second episode. But what she meant was that Lewis did not understand what it was like being a mermaid, how difficult it was. Now, in this episode, you can return back to that second episode because Cleo says that she and Lewis are equals. And this actually makes Lewis happy. Not as equals, meaning that just because he's not a merman, that doesn't mean that he's not a part of the group, but meaning that they are the same in personality. They are both equal in strength and knowledge and wisdom and youth and like respect. He respects her the same way she respects him. She respects everything he does for her, and she goes over and beyond to prove that, while he's always there for her. It makes him feel good to know that Cleo, being a mermaid, doesn't think that Lewis is beneath her, basically. The same way that we'll see Charlotte do when she becomes a mermaid towards the girls. But Cleo does not see her being a mermaid, meaning that she isn't the same as Lewis. She's still somewhat human. While Elliot and Kim's relationship is Kim treating Elliot like he's supposed to pamper her, that he's beneath her, that he's supposed to do what she says. And when he doesn't do what she says, she gets mad and tries to manipulate him. The same way that Charlotte does Lewis on a counter basis, where every time Lewis cancels plans or want to hang out with the girls, she turns it back upon him. And we'll talk more about that in her Charlotte video. But as you can notice, if you actually look at all the scenes where Lewis is with Charlotte compared to all the scenes when Lewis is with Cleo, and not only this episode, but in like all their episodes in season 2, we see that Lewis is a lot more happier. So you can tell who he's in love with compared to who he's not. So it reinforces that Lewis is in a forced relationship where he is not treated as an equal, because everything he does is only agreed upon with Charlotte, or at least something that Charlotte would want to do, not necessarily what Lewis would want to do, because Lewis has not been able to make his own decisions or be able to have his own thoughts and feelings ever since Charlotte came into the picture and started having feelings for him. Now, that brings us to where Cleo had said that Kim did not deserve Elliot. Now, there's a lot of people that could say that Kim doesn't deserve Elliot. Cleo's right about that, but Cleo also does not deserve Lewis because of the whole breakup thing. Or in this case, a lot of people are saying that Charlotte is the only reason why the girl started to appreciate Lewis more. But Charlotte doesn't even appreciate Lewis. She doesn't even show true appreciation for Lewis. And being abused by someone does not mean that that should be used as a positive thing to be treated with respect. Why everyone is thinking that is ridiculous to me. Because in all fairness, Charlotte not respecting his boundaries, respecting his wants, his needs, and trying to isolate him and control him and gaslight him is not a form of appreciation in my eyes. So that might be for y'all, but that's not for me. And Cleo does appreciate Lewis. We see this on a countless basis. Just because she broke up with him and she's starting to have jealous tendencies, and to be fair, he too has jealous tendencies because he too has feelings for her as well. It works both ways for both people. It does not mean that she does not appreciate him, or at least tells him that she appreciates him. We see her say this a lot of times that, hey, Lewis, we appreciate what you have done for us and what you do for us. Just because they ask him to like deal with issues that he either intentionally or unintentionally causes is not bad friendship or making them bad people. Lewis is more appreciated by Cleo than he is by Charlotte. Same thing with Elliot. Him, like Charlotte, does not respect Elliot the same way that Charlotte would treat equal respect to Lewis. Now, let's talk about Charlotte and behavior when she came walking up after everything was said and done. Did anybody else notice that when she was saying hey to them and walking up to where they were, she kept staring at Cleo? That tells me right there that is not an insecure person. That is a person that's trying to mark their territory and telling someone to fuck off, basically. So, no, like I said, Shaw does not respect Lewis, treats Lewis like an equal because everything that she says that she likes about Lewis, like pretending that she also likes science and fishing and basically like that's stuff that abusers would do to try to make you think that, oh, we both like the same things. No. A lot of things that she said that she likes in Lewis is a lie. Like, literally, that got proven in episode 12 and that got proven in episode 24. Charlotte does not care about Lewis's likes and dislikes. She only cares about what she likes. So, there is no way anybody's going to continue to justify this character. Like, every time I see a comment or any video where this character is trying to be justified, I'm putting my dang 2 cents in it. And I can argue with anybody in the comments. No. We're not sitting here trying to make her the victim. She's not. But it's strange to me that she feels so threatened, right? Not in the fact that she's threatened by Cleo, because obviously she knows that Cleo and Lewis still liked each other before she even got with Lewis and still try to pursue Lewis afterwards and is dating him. But what's strange to me is that she thinks her relationship would work far better if Lewis and Cleo were not around each other. Like if Cleo was not in the picture. That's not going to work because Lewis and Cleo have known each other since they were 5 years old. And I understand that some people want to like feel bad for her and say that, you know, this is a bad thing because that is his girlfriend and they do feel sorry for her, but like you can't feel sorry for someone that knew the situation and still put themselves in that position to be hurt in that situation. And also is the toxic person of that situation. So I'm sorry, no. But it's like Lewis didn't notice for one that she was looking at Cleo, but like I would have liked if Lewis would told Charlotte that, hey, yeah, Cleo was there too. She could tell you, we had a chaperone, both of us. Because it does not make sense to me that when Lewis was on this date with Kim and Elliot, that it never registered with Charlotte immediately that Cleo would have had to been there too, because it's her sister. But I guess she didn't think that much. But what I want to talk about, when Charlotte had decided to let Lewis go to this date, to chaperone for Elliot, she probably would have not let him, or she would have tagged along herself if she had known Cleo was going to be involved. But her not realizing that Cleo would probably have been involved means that Charlotte has let her guard down, right? Ever since episode 14, she let her guard down. This is how it's possible for Cleo and Lewis to hang out, because Charlotte let her guard down for so long. And she continues to let her guard down until after she becomes a mermaid, but then when she gets dumped, after that she can't really do nothing about it. But from that episode until episode 22, Charlotte's going to, in a way, eventually find out the secret, but she's gonna let her guard down enough to where we'll see Lewis and Cleo spend more time together than they had this entire season, which they have spent some time together, but like there's been things that got in the way of that. But that's all I got for you guys today. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this was a double date between Kim and Elliot and Cleo and Lewis? Or do you think that this was a platonic thing, that they were just there as friends and that it was nothing to be considered as romantic, because it really wasn't, but it's like an unintentional double date? It's a date that they didn't realize they were on, and on top of that, they didn't know they both were going to be there. But would you have uh preferred this not to happen, or are you glad that this did happen? Are you happy that this episode happened with Cleo and Lewis? Also, how do you guys feel about what would have happened if Charlotte knew Cleo was going to be there, and Charlotte giving Cleo that look, that side eye when she was walking up? What do you guys think about all that? Also, you guys commend Elliot for sticking up for himself. What do you guys actually think about Emma's jealousy towards Ash and Rikki? And lastly, the points that I mentioned about them being equals and everything to do with Charlotte not respecting Lewis compared to like how Kim is with Elliot. Like, what are your feelings on that, and what do you think about that? So just let me know that in the comments. But that's all I got for you guys today. It is 2:38 right now. So yeah, I got some little time left to just chill before I go to work. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll drop the community post after I get off of work. I was supposed to do it yesterday, but I was tired. So hope you guys have a blessed day. Hope you have a wonderful day. If no one's told you this today, I'm telling you, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video for tomorrow. Because you already know this ain't the last time we'll see each other. So until then, bye guys.